Hello and welcome to Drive Park. This is Bharadwaj and I am sitting in one of the most comfortable seats in the automotive industry. That's at the rear seat of the all-new made in India EQS 580 electric vehicle. Today we will tell you everything you need to know about this feature-rich, power-packed performance electric vehicle that is just launched in India for 1.55 crores. Before I talk about the most interesting design by Mercedes-Benz on this car, I will tell you what are the variants that are available in terms of EQS. EQS is available in a AMG CB unit, and also EQS is available in this trim, that's the 580, that is assembled in India at their Chakan facility in Pune. And also Mercedes-Benz had given us access to witness their assembly facility, and we have done a complete walk around of how the EQS is being assembled. If you haven't watched that video, please go watch that video. I'll urge you, because there's a lot more that we got access to it. But for now, let us get back to the car. Starting with the design of the car, you can see that there is a very prominent design. Now Mercedes has designed this to cut through air as easily as possible with a lowest drag coefficient of a CD 0.2. So this is one of the most aerodynamic car in the industry. It has a drag coefficient of CD 0.2, and that is seen all over the car. It has rounded contours, it has rounded shape. So this means that there is very low air resistance when this car is moving, which ultimately results in a better range. Now getting back to the front fascia, you can see that this entire grille is closed down. You have 3 pointed stars all around, and you have a big Mercedes chrome logo right here. Chrome strip, the 3-part chrome strip that runs on top of the grille, and also there's a chrome bar that is running in the bumper, and finally even at the lip as well you get another chrome strip. Now this provides a rich and very modern look to the car. Apart from that, in terms of lighting, you get Mercedes-Benz digital lighting. Now this has around 1.3 million crystals or mirrors, what you can say, that will enhance the lighting ability of the car. This has adaptive lighting, so if you are traveling in the night and if you are using high beam and it sees oncoming traffic, it will definitely lower itself, it will lower the beam and adjust itself to give you the best visibility at that lighting condition. Now going to the side profile of the car, you get a 20-inch machined alloy wheels. Now this also is aerodynamically shaped to provide very less resistance, and this gets a tire profile of 255/45 R20. Now this is shot with Pirelli tires for ultimate grip and also a balanced rolling resistance as well. As you can see, it is a unibody design, a mono, like it can see the entire body seems like one piece, made of one piece. That is how streamlined this is, and that is how aerodynamic this body is. The air can just slide through it and not chime anywhere else, even including the rear view mirrors. Speaking of which, on the rear view mirror, also on the front grille and all over the car, there are a ton of cameras to enable the ADAS system that is present on this car, and also for the 360-degree camera. Now this has a 3D projection of the 360-degree camera that is there on that beautiful looking screen. Now we'll get to that interior bit a little later. That is the side profile. Now more on the side profile is that you get a EQS badging on the A-pillar, and there is a brushed aluminum finish running through the window line, and the door handles themselves pop out. They sit flush to the door, but when you just swipe in it, so if you just swipe in it, it will open the door automatically like that, and the handles will pop out, and once you're done with it, it'll just go inside and give you that clean look that is needed for this car. Let me talk a little bit about the ground clearance as well. So this has around 134 mm of ground clearance. Also there's a facility where you can increase it a little bit, but on Indian roads that is something that needs to be very careful about, because that is a little bit of a low ground clearance. That's because the battery pack sits in the floor between the wheels, what you see right here. And finally, the wheelbase of the car is rated at 3210 mm. Now this is slightly lesser than the S-Class, despite having the lesser overhangs and also the wheels being moved far out because there's no engine, there's only a motor. But still, this has a little less wheelbase than the S-Class long wheelbase model. Now finally, to end the side profile, you can see that the sloping roofline that is there on this car merges beautifully with the boot and sort of creating a notchback design. Now will that hamper headroom for the rear passengers who are prominent for this car? is something that I will answer later in the video. But for now, let's go to the rear profile and let's see how that rear profile is. The rear profile of the EQS 580 again follows the same theme of having contoured shapes at all ends. You can see that the pillars or the fenders is also contoured and matches with the wraparound tail lamps that you see right here. And there is a huge light bar connecting either side of the tail lamps and looks very attractive, especially in the night. You get to see all these crystals that will glow up individually to create a seamless design with regards to the lighting of the tail lamp. Now apart from that, you get to see a small spoiler on the boot lid that again adds to the aerodynamic efficiency of the car, and also you get to see a lot of chrome bits. You get to see the badging in the chrome, and also there's a chrome bar at the end of the bumper as well. Now this is again a very clean and minimalistic look what Mercedes has gone for. Again, very unheard of in Mercedes cars. Now with that, let me get into another interesting aspect of the EQS 580, that's the boot. Now to access the boot, you have several ways. You can do it with the key fob. There is also a request button for the driver to access it, and if you have the key fob or if the car is unlocked, you can just press on this logo to release the boot. Again, this is a electrically operated boot and it reveals 610 liters of boot space. Massive boot space, even though Mercedes has not given any front trunk, that's the frunk usually found on electric cars. The boot more than makes up for it. 610 liters is massive and you can store a lot of stuff. We have stored something and still I think that I can get into it and still have a good night's sleep even along with this bags. So it's a very good space for the boot. Obviously, if you are carrying some golf clubs, that can definitely go into it. And apart from that, you also have 60-40 split for the rear seat. You can bring it down and increase the boot space if needed. Since this is not a typical sedan and just a notchback, that can be easily done as well on this car. Now to close the boot lid, all you have to do is come and press the button here. Now if there is any obstruction, it will again rise back or just close shut, and that is the boot lid or the boot space of the EQS 580. Now as I mentioned earlier in the video, the bonnet is closed shut, and if you need to fill washer fluid for the wiper, you need to do it this way. You have to come unlock the car and then access the washer fluid area here, and you need to fill it here. That's how you add a washer fluid into EQS 580. Now it is time for me to get inside the car, and before I get inside the car, I lock it because I want to show you one interesting feature of the S580. That is, if you need to get inside the car and the key is around the car, all you need to do is just swipe and the door handle pops out and you just open it and get into the luxurious cabin of the S580.
Stop that. I hear 'em chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear 'em chat with the boys, man so tough.
So as I mentioned earlier in this video at the start, I am sitting in one of the most comfortable seats in the automotive industry. This is the S-Class of the EV vehicles from Mercedes-Benz, and they have given proper prominence to the rear seat. You have a lot of features, lot of adjustments, lot of AI stuff that is present here. I'll talk about that individually now. Starting off with the features, the seats are very much comfortable. You get a lot of leg room, a lot of under thigh support as well. I am in the most reclined position. You can sit upright as well, but I like to relax and deploy the armrest, which is otherwise a third passenger backrest right here, and you get to see the headrest for that passenger as well, and you get to sit very comfortably. There's a lot of space, and you get a climate control. There's a 4-zone climate control. You can customize it individually as per your preference, and also there is a seat adjustment buttons right here, even the ventilation buttons as well, because for the rear seat you get ventilation button, both heated and cooled, both options are here. Now you get to enjoy the 15 speaker 710 watt Burmeister sound system, and finally there is a dual pane sunroof as well. All that can be controlled via your voice or through AI or through old-fashioned way of tablet. Not so much as an old-fashioned way, because you get to choose everything as per your preference and set it as per your preference on this tablet, which is a pretty neat thing. You do not have to ask your chauffeur or the driver or the people sitting at the front to adjust any climate control or anything as such. All the adjustments that is required for the rear seat or also anything related to even front as well, most of which can be controlled via this 7-inch tablet that is present on the center armrest. Now this can be removed as I showed earlier. You have to just press this button and the tablet will be presented to you. Once you place it inside, it will go and fixate itself and it will be in a secure position no matter what. So that is about it. The console that you see right here, that always reads the passengers at the rear. You have a lot of sensors. You can do a lot of things with gesture. Suppose if you go down and pick up something, the light automatically lights up, and if you take your finger right now the car is in a switched off position. That's why this is not working, but while running it recognizes that you're doing a movement and it will automatically turn on the lights. If you need to access the sunroof or open the blinds, all you need to do is a gesture. Voila. So all you need to do is just point your finger or point at it and the car will do all the features that is required by you on itself. Now that's AI taking it to the next level in terms of creature comforts right there. And again, Mercedes-Benz is known to break barriers, and they have broken a lot of barriers with this car. And as I mentioned earlier, you get 4-zone climate control. You can adjust it via the buttons that are present on the rear AC vents, below the rear AC vents, or you can just access it via the tablet as well that is present on the screen right here. Now that is about the rear seat, and as I told you earlier, this is one of the best seats. You get a lot of comfort. There's air suspension supporting the ride, and also you get a lot of legroom. And as also when I was speaking about the design, I spoke about the sloping roof, but still you can see that there is a lot of headroom, and you get to rest your head on this cushiony pillows, which will make your ride even more comfortable. I seriously do not want to get out of the seat, but I have to get onto the driver's seat and show you one of the most amazing features of this car. That's its hyper screen, or the infotainment screen, or the glass structure that is there on the dashboard. Let's go sit in the front and I'll tell you all the features that is there and the design of the dashboard as well. Now I am sitting at the driver's seat of the EQS 580, and I am presented with one of the most amazing features of automotive industry. That's the hyper screen from the Mercedes. Now what you see is a glass panel that extends from that end of the dashboard and ends at this end of the dashboard, while integrating AC vents, the circular AC vents inside it that you see right there. Now this particular glass roof has 3 displays in particular. The co-passenger gets a 12.5-inch display. There's a 17.5-inch main infotainment system that houses all the controls for the car and also for the entire climate control as well. And finally, there is a 12.5-inch instrument cluster with a head-up display that is projecting on the windshield to ensure that all the details that a driver would need is right in front of them. And apart from that, you also get to see a very clean looking layout because of this hyper screen. Now the dashboard has AC vents. Other than the side AC vents, you also get a center AC vents integrated right above it, and you get to see a lot of soft touch materials, and there is a cluster of sensors that is present behind the IRVM for the ADAS, and also you get to see a lot of sunroof controls right here. All this seamlessly plays into the part of feeling premium because it is decked in dual tone finish. There's beige and there's a touch of black as well. This looks very good, and there are certain wood panels that makes it look even good. On this raised console that you see right here, you get wood paneling, and also on the door as well you get some wood paneling. All this adds to the premium and richness of this car. Now being an EQS, this is very much expected of the car. Now apart from that, let me start with the infotainment system right here. Now this is a 17.5-inch display, but actual display is only this much right here. This climate control is a standard standard portion. This will not be taken away, so this always is there on the display, and it is easy to access for the driver or the co-passenger as well if they need to change the climate control unit. Or you can just go ahead and say, "Hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Switch off the climate control."
I'm deactivating the air conditioning.
So that's about it. You do not even have to lift your finger to activate or control certain features of this car. The voice assistant feature on the Mercedes-Benz is one of the finest in the industry, and that can be done just by talking to the car and activating your features. Now apart from that, this has Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Mercedes Me Connect, and also lot of AI assistant approved. So you're not short of any features right here. You get to play around with a ton of tech. Now if I had to delve deep into this infotainment system, I would have to spend an entire day for this to explain everything, but for now you get to see all the features. And if you connect your phone to the Mercedes Me app, you can also control these features remotely via your smartphone as well. And that is about the infotainment system. But whatever said and done, having such a large map view is something of a brilliant feature, is what I feel. In case if you want to activate or search any other features of the infotainment system, all you need to do is press on the heart buttons that is present right here on the center console. Once you do that, the particular screen will pop up. For example, if you want vehicle settings, it will pop up right there. And similarly with EQ related stuff where you can plan your route and everything, that can also be popped up. Or if you have to see what are the other options, you can just press on home right here and you get to see what are the options that you can control right here. Brilliant display, very good MBUX system. The Mercedes MBUX system is one of the finest, and EQS certainly has the best of the MBUX, controlling lots of features, and also it is very convenient to use as well. Now coming to the instrument cluster right here, instrument cluster also has a ton of features. You can customize it anyway. There's a lot of features. You can have different layout. You can ask it to display different information to the driver so that they will not have to search for driving related information, or even what is playing, or even the navigation. Everything will be displayed right here. They do not have to turn anywhere and look for information. And speaking of which, as this car is fully powered by AI, the driver is being monitored through a cluster of sensors and cameras right there. And if you want to adjust your rear view mirror, you just have to look at it and it will give you the best, most possible view and adjust itself. That is something of unheard of in an automotive world. That is something very brilliant. And speaking of brilliant, let me talk about the steering wheel right here. Again, steering wheel is very chunky to hold. You get to see a lot of dual tone finish right here. You get to see brushed aluminum finish in terms of paddles. Now these paddles are only for your recuperation or the regen system. You can increase it or decrease it, and also you have soft touch buttons. The left side of the cluster will control the infotainment system. The right side of the cluster will control the instrument cluster right here. Again, a lot of options is there, and also there are certain options for you to control the ADAS features of this car as well. You can see that there is a following system, and also there is adaptive cruise control on this car that can be controlled right here. Now apart from this, I would like to highlight one more design feature on this car. That's the copper highlight that is there on this. So you can see running throughout the AC vent, and also you can see running throughout the door as well. Now again, this being an electric car, that gives a little bit of a smooth touch, and that is also where you can spot the ambient lighting as well. This has 64 colors of ambient lighting, and you can adjust it as per your mood. And these are ambient lighting which are dynamic as well. Suppose if there is a hazard coming by, or you're opening the door and there is a car or something near to your door, it will alert you with a red light saying that do not open, or it will react to the alertness of the car. So that is something very brilliant as well. And finally, on the center console part, since it is raised, you get to see a small storage space right here because of having no gear shift or no gear lever or a transmission, or for an actual transmission, because that is where the battery pack is there. Coming back to the center console, to create a seamless look, they have given a wood panel. You can just slide this back and get access to the USB ports that is present right here. You also get to see a NFC tag right here that you can pair with your phone. There is a wireless charger. There are cup holders as well. Once you press on the cup holder, it will get engaged, or you can just return it back to its normal position and treat this also as a storage space as well. Now speaking of storage spaces, this car has a lot of storage space. As I mentioned earlier, there's one right here, and there is a split opening box right here, which again has two more USB ports inside, and there is a glove box right there on the dashboard as well, and you get to see a large door pocket holders for bottle holders as well. Now these are all the storage spaces, and As I can see, this car is one of the most practical, luxurious and feature-rich car that is present in the industry. There are a lot of tech. If I had to break this down to the minimal features or each and every detail, it would have taken this video would have gone as long as the range of this car. That's 837 kilometers RI certified. But let me see how this car drives and tell you how it is, including the seats, the steering wheel, everything. Let me just take this car out for a spin and tell you how it is to drive. Let's go. So now I'm behind the wheel of the Mercedes-Benz EQS 580, and it is certainly a very good place to be in, despite me being a little cocky about losing the rear seat. It is definitely a driver's car as well, is what I can tell. If in case you are bored about getting chauffeured around, you can definitely sit in the seat and have the most amazing fun with all the instant torque that is available with this car. Before I speak about how to drive this car, let me run down a little specs for in terms of battery, in terms of motor and everything, in terms of mechanicals as well. So this car features two electric motors that will enable it to be a four-wheel driven car. Yes, apart from that, it is also a four-wheel steer car. Now that is offered as an optional package, but the first 500 customers who's booking the EQS 580 gets it as a complimentary from Mercedes-Benz. Now what that does is, below 50 km per hour, it will turn opposite to the front wheel, reducing the turning circle. But if you are above 50 km per hour or at doing a decent speed, what it will does is it will turn in conjunction with the front wheel to give you that additional grip when needed to make this large and heavy car handle. Yes, because this weighs around 2500 kilos with the battery pack almost weighing 40% of the car. And speaking of the battery pack, it is rated around 107.8 kilowatt hour. Now that gives the EQS an exceptional RI certified range of 837 kilometers on a single charge. Now this car is powered by a 107.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it's a lithium ion battery pack which is placed in between the wheels, and that also means that lower center of gravity. This enables the car to have an impressive range of 857 kilometers per charge, certified by RI, and it is also one of the longest certified EV range cars by RI as well, is what Mercedes claims. Despite this being a tested range, we could certainly tell that the real world range of this car will lie somewhere around 600 to 700 kilometers depending on how you drive this car, which is very impressive, because if you are in other parts of India, it can take to other cities. That means the intra-city is possible, sometimes even twice is possible. But since we are based out of Bangalore, the nearest location to us, that's the Mysore, so we can go from Bangalore to Mysore back twice, is what Mercedes-Benz claims, and that is mighty impressive for an electric vehicle, and that is something very good. Now in terms of charging, the EQS features a lot of charging options. You get an onboard 22 kilowatt charger, and also there is an AC fast charging options across India. But this car is also DC fast charging enabled to 200 kilowatt. Now when you charge this car with a 200 kilowatt DC fast charger, which is sadly not available in India yet, the maximum what we have is 180 kilowatt charger. But if you use a 200 kilowatt charger and charge this car for 15 minutes, you will be able to get a range of around 300 kilometers in just 15 minutes. However, if you plan to charge it to 80%, that's the 0 to 80%, you will be getting 80% of the charge in under just 35 minutes. So that is again very impressive. This will enable a whole host of travel options, and also this car has something called as travel programming. So if you input your destination, that's the where you're going, and with regards to your where you're starting the journey, it will map out a route to you where you can strategically charge and still maintain a lot of range in this car. Now that is also very smart. As I told you, this car is everything about smartness, and that is clearly seen when you choose to drive this car with respect to even EV as well. Those are all the specs and quick rundown that I've given you with regards to this car. Now let me talk about how this car is to drive. First of all, it is a very serene experience when you sit in the driver's seat, because first you are welcomed with a plush quality of materials right here, and you also have the hyper screen that looks very modern and futuristic. Along with that, you get a very comfortable ride because this rides on airmatic suspension. So it's a air suspension that reads the road and adapts itself. So if there is a bump coming up, it already knows that what is the jolt that will be, and it will adapt and make sure that you get a comfortable ride. That is something very, very smart. However, this smartness is taken up to another level because this car now remembers that there is a pothole already, and if you are traveling regularly in this road, this car will now remember that there is a pothole, and it will adjust itself and it will adapt itself even before you have arrived to this corner of the road. So that is again mighty impressive. I mean, that is breaking barriers is what I was talking. This is breaking barriers in terms of technology, in terms of a ride quality, and certainly it can be said that because this is S-Class standards, and it really means the business when you either drive or even sit at the back and enjoy being chauffeured around. It does not matter. This car delivers one of the best ride qualities in the automotive industry. Now that is about the airmatic suspension. Now let me come to the powertrain. That is very interesting because even though this car is seen as a comfort car, it is no short of power. There is a lot of power in this car, especially coming up with 2 electric motors. Now you have a lot of modes, that is eco, comfort, sport and individual. In eco, in all of these modes, as a matter of fact, the suspension tuning, the steering tuning and the throttle response and even the braking response changes to give you that perfect driving characteristic as per your preference. In individual, you get to set as per your preference what throttle response you need, what are the steering feedback that you need, what are the suspension and how fast it should react to your inputs or the drive quality. That also you can ask the system to set it as per your preference. Now with that, let me talk about the performance. 0 to 100 in 4.2 seconds. Now that is very quick, and it can travel to a maximum speed of 210 kilometers per hour. Now what I'm going to do is put it into sport and mash the foot, and as you can see, it is amazing. Too good. The acceleration comes in very quickly. It will be a kickback that you get on your head. You generally don't drive this car like that, but certainly this car can be driven like that, is what Mercedes is giving you as an option. It is good to have that, especially if you are feeling a little bit adventurous on a Sunday and want to do some track days. This car can certainly handle that. And speaking of which, let me come to the handling of the car. So in terms of handling, this is not a car that likes to be driven sportily. This is a car that to be chauffeur driven, but it can do sporty driving, as you just saw. In that sense, the steering feedback that you get from this car is a little too vague because this car is not catered to that kind of driving. The body roll is very less. That's mainly due to the lower center of gravity, because the battery pack is placed way down below, and that certainly helps in lower center of gravity and a good handling of the car. But in terms of steering feedback, I would have loved some more feedback to it. But that being said, I'm just nitpicking over here because this car is not something that you drive it very aggressively. This car is to coast around, cruise around and lay in comfort. And with that, let me come to the seats. The seats are well bolstered. You get ventilated seats, and it can take in long drives, and you can just cruise around a lot. Where it would sort of hamper your ride is in terms of ground clearance. This car has a ground clearance of around 130 to 150 mm. Now that is something very low in terms of for this long car with this long wheelbase. So tackling road humps will be a task, especially with the Indian road having different profiles of road humps where it will do a seesaw. I'm not telling you that this car will do a seesaw, but generally it will be like that. So while you're tackling road humps, you will have to be very careful. Apart from that, there is nothing to worry about. This car will take care of yourself. Apart from the powertrain and the battery pack, this also has a regen system. There are multiple levels of regen that you can control with the paddle shifters right here, which I've mentioned earlier. Now with the strongest regen system, you could do single pedal driving for sure, and that will add to two advantages. That is one, you will not have to use your brake. You can the car will brake itself, and you can certainly do a single foot driving. Apart from that, it will also reward you with additional range where there is maximum recuperation happening, and it will increase the range of the car as well. Finally, speaking about the brake of the car, I felt the travel of the pedal is a little more than expected. It will take some time to get used to. It is not the most precise braking that I would say. You will need to mash your foot sometimes, especially if there is no recuperation that you have chosen, and however, it is adequate and it can stop this large car. Speaking of taking care of yourself, this car features the level 2 ADAS. So level 2 ADAS function will help you in terms of acceleration, in terms of brake, and also in terms of steering input. This has lane keep assist, lane departure warning, blind spot detection, and all the ADAS level 2 stuff that you get on other cars. So this is also Mercedes system. It is very precise, and you can be sure that it will be assisting you in the right way and also keeping you safe to avoid that crash if at all there is a possibility of it. Speaking of which, in case if there is a crash, this car will also help you in protecting the occupants, because this car comes with 9 airbags as standard, and there is a ton of passive safety features including electronic stability program, traction control, ABS with EBD, and a whole lot more. So you can be sure that this car is certainly safe, and that is proven with a 5-star safety rating through a global NCAP safety test. Now finally, I would like to talk about the NVH levels of this car. Now this being an electric car, it has something called as pedestrian warning. So if you are below 30 km/h, it will warn the pedestrian with a acoustic sound. When you go beyond 30 km/h, it will fade away, and it'll the rolling noise of the car will eventually alert the pedestrian, is what the concept is behind that. And if you're sitting inside, and if you are cocooned in the AC, and also with driving around, it can certainly make you feel good. The NVH levels are excellent. It will isolate the sound very well, and if you're still not happy with it, you can use the 15 speaker Burmeister sound system to have that peaceful drive that you want from this car. So overall, this car is for both, I would tell. If you want to be chauffeur driven, you could sit in the back seat and ask the chauffeur to take you around and ferry around and everything. But if you're feeling adventurous and want to take this car out for a spin, you can do that as well, thanks to a brilliant powertrain and mechanicals that is fitted to this car. Mercedes-Benz S-Class are known to be the pinnacle of automotive technology, breaking through a ton of barriers, and the Mercedes-Benz EQS is no different, as it has broken a lot of barriers in becoming a top-notch electric car. The look, the feel, and the performance is all S-Class, and it certainly speaks class as well. According to us, this particular electric car meets all the characteristics of a S-Class and does much more, and can go a longer way even when the fossil fuels run out. What did you think about the EQS 580? Let us know in the comments below. Also like and share this video, and do subscribe to DriveSpark if you haven't done it already. This is Bharadwaj signing off, and I'm certainly overwhelmed after driving this car. I hope you are too after watching our review. Stay safe and drive safe.